The trap of a first-round quarterback. Every team wants to find their beautiful QB to get married to, signing to a massive extension, and acting as the face of their franchise. Since 2015, and excluding 2023, Roger Goodell has walked up the podium in the first round to announce a new era of QB play for 26 teams. In those 26 times, if we're to be generous, 9 of those were true hits. 4 of them were decent, whether it was for that team or the QB less for a greener pasture, and 13 completely failed to be a star. That's a 35% hit rate when being extremely generous to some first rounders. And while batting .350 would get you MVP votes in Major League Baseball, that's still 65% of teams left completely heartbroken. It's extremely rare that teams drafting a quarterback in the first round feel secure that they are obtaining a surefire star, but every few years, one of those comes out. In 2012, it was Andrew Luck. In 2020, it was Joe Burrow. For 2024, it's Caleb Williams. His draft stock has changed how the football world approaches QB scouting. Fans of teams looking for a direction clamored to tank for Caleb Williams before the 2023 draft, knowing that meant another year of torture. Teams who can fall for the enchanting throws of other talented quarterbacks and the upside first-rounders give only see an opportunity to build a dynasty around them. And the media, they're convinced he's the next Mahomes. Caleb Williams is no newcomer to the spotlight. Williams was a 5-star recruit coming out of Gonzaga High School in Washington, D.C., committing to Oklahoma to play in the college system that won Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray Heisman trophies. Even when he wasn't playing, Williams was the star QB waiting in the wings for the prominent Spencer Rattler to get drafted after winning his own Heisman. That moment, however, never happened, as Rattler regressed massively from his Heisman expectations in 2021, and Williams was thrust into a 28-7 game in which Rattler was finally benched. Since then, Williams has shined, taking the spot from Rattler and running him off to South Carolina, before Williams himself followed Lincoln Riley to USC in 2022. Southern California was where Williams really found himself. He threw for over 4,500 yards for 42 touchdowns and just 5 interceptions, easily taking the Heisman in just his second season in college football and his first as a starter. His follow-up campaign last season brought up some statistical regression, even as just in his Notre Dame game, Williams threw 5 passes that should have been intercepted, and his hopes for playoff glory was met with a bitter end, as USC didn't even make the Pac-12 championship game. With so many unfinished victories in college, hopes are high that he can take his desire for revenge into the NFL. But what did his 2023 show us on tape? Caleb Williams' film is a tale of 2 sides. The first side is exactly what you knew coming into the draft. Williams has elite arm talent, throwing the ball accurately everywhere across the field. He's accurate enough to lead his receivers into yards after catch, which is an elite trait that's very difficult to teach a young quarterback. He shows flashes of anticipation from both defensive schemes and open receivers, picking up blitzes and keeping the offense on time. His pre-snap reads are satisfactory as well, understanding how to beat defensive principles on the fly. Williams' eye discipline can be a weapon, as he can draft defenders away from his targets before throwing the ball. He can process quickly, rapidly understanding the defense and dismantling it with beautiful throws. He can progress beyond his first read or two as well, flashing the ability to check down the ball when the defense is covering his intended receivers. Then, of course, there are his legs, as Williams isn't as efficient as a passer as a rusher. But for every good trait, Williams has some major setbacks that will be of note when projecting his future success in the NFL. Williams struggled against pressure in 2023, forgetting to check down and creating his own adversity. Some of that pressure, like many QBs with young arm talent, is caused by his own failures, holding onto the ball for way too long waiting for a throw to get open. He double-guessed himself multiple times on tape, spoiling what would otherwise be a good read by hesitating. The Notre Dame game was the prime example of Williams' floor, in which he threw 5 passes that should have been intercepted, which would have doubled his interception count on this season. He can get greedy, ignoring shallow or open receivers to throw into double coverage, throwing balls that will be intercepted in the NFL. His fundamentals can dissolve if the game doesn't go as planned as well, fading back from the throw even when he unleashes a beautiful ball. It's time to grade what Williams demonstrates on film. The grading system is rather simple, and if you watch the Jaden Daniels video, you'll kind of understand it. There are 7 categories, each with a weighted set of points which add up to 50. The total points are then added and turned into a 0 to 100 grade, quantifying the demonstrable on-field skills the prospect has, not their ceiling. For quarterbacks, the criteria are a point for size, 10 points for arm strength, 10 for accuracy, 5 for anticipation, 15 for their ability to read the field and play the mental game, 4 for their fundamentals, and 5 for their ability to run. At 6'1", 215, Williams' size is no question, earning him a point. His arm is undoubtedly an NFL-caliber arm, and he has the depth to throw the ball all over the field. However, he doesn't have a freak-of-nature arm that leaves you stunned, as that usually comes with the raw potential rather than polished skill, scoring him 8 points. Williams' arm strength is met with executional traits, as he rarely misses his targets across the field, whether it was deep, intermediate, or shallow, scoring him 9 points. His anticipation is inconsistent, though, as some games are littered with throws that are far from anticipatory, but others exemplify just how dangerous he can be when he knows where to throw. With flashes of inconsistency, Williams scores 3.5 points. His read score is harmed heavily by that tendency to hold on to the ball for too long, as the playstyle really only works for Mahomes and sometimes maybe Josh Allen. For any human quarterback, holding onto the ball in the style of Williams is unsustainable for the NFL, and it will pose a serious issue if he can't iron it out quickly. While he understands touch and certainly has the capacity to tear apart coverages, his ability to actually read the field and produce is inconsistent, so he's left with a 10, which is still a tremendous rating for a collegiate quarterback. Williams' fundamentals are as sound as well, only occasionally seeing issues in footwork or pocket presence, scoring a 3. Of course, Williams can run extremely well. In terms of quarterback rushing tiers, Williams is a poster child for a 4.5. He runs efficiently, can be schemed for occasional runs in the NFL, but is better off using his legs as a quick tool rather than a full function of the offense. With those scores, Williams scores a 78 tape grade, second in the class behind Jaden Daniels, and third among all quarterbacks analyzed since 2021, with Trevor Lawrence taking the top score. The key factor of the tape grade is that upside and talent are not at all captured by the grade, as a quarterback's ceiling isn't quite quantifiable. Williams' flashes were always elite, proving that with a few NFL tweaks, he will be exactly as promised, a franchise cornerstone who can win you a Super Bowl and is well worth the first overall pick. As long as he gets rid of the ball and brings a little bit more anticipation to his game, which I expect will happen quickly, Williams will be the first great Chicago's quarterback in a really long time. General Manager Ryan Poles recently explained the decision to move Justin Fields to Pittsburgh in favor of Caleb Williams in political yet strong words. In the conversation, in which he remarks how tough the move was and the talent of young Fields, Poles stated that despite the talent, Fields was a quarterback you win with, whereas Williams is a quarterback you win because of. That determination is one that has driven countless discussions surrounding draft stocks and free agent contracts alike, but it's the most important that the franchise views Williams as a game changer. Although Poles sees Williams as a player that can create wins for the team, he also did a phenomenal job investing in the team around him. In a franchise terrorized by poor management, free agency, and roster creation, the Bears seem to have finally turned a corner. The big changes start with the players Williams will target, with DJ Moore already a great wide receiver, but the roster lacking any real depth. The Bears brought in Keenan Allen in a destructive move by the Chargers, adding a massive target with plenty of veteran experience. Chicago added youth to the position as well, bringing in possibly the number 2 receiver in the draft in Rome Odunze, and with 3 wide receivers that are all projected to be top tier, Williams has been set up for success. The Bears have done a myriad of good moves that will make small improvements as well, including extending breakout corner Jalen Johnson, retaining Cole Kmet for a tight end filled with potential to break out, and building up the offensive line even more. With so much talent in Chicago, expectations are going to be extremely high, and a lot of that pressure falls on new offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. Waldron was the OC for the Seahawks during the resurgence of Geno Smith, and has experience under Sean McVay in Los Angeles as well. With those Shanahan principles and a great resume of offensive production, Williams should mesh well with him and find quick schematic success. Just as he had in Seattle, Waldron will be working with a trio of extremely talented wide receivers, and his ability to spread the production while also feeding into the run game will keep Chicago balanced, further easing Williams' transition into the NFL. Many of his concepts will be simple for Williams, helping him get the ball out on time and keep him on schedule, building confidence and likely getting Williams comfortable by the middle of the year. In an NFC North, the Bears have a lot of work ahead of them, as Jordan Love broke out in a massive way last year, and the Lions have built an absolute powerhouse. Plus, the Vikings won't quite be pushovers either. Right now, the Bears are poised to finish third in the division, but if Waldron and Williams find their stride quickly, the Lions and Packers are still young enough to fall back, and the Bears have more than enough talent to take advantage of either of those teams' mistakes. With such a volatile division, Williams' immediate success will be the key to the Bears' season. There's too much talent for the Bears to lose sloppy games early in the season, as that will likely dig a hole that's extremely difficult to climb back out of. Williams, luckily, has been given a dream scenario with an entire franchise willing to do anything to help him succeed, and his progression to starting day one will be a major focus. Bears fans should pay close attention to preseason and practice reports, as that will be the beacon of hope for the franchise hoping to finally turn a corner and find a stable quarterback. While the floor may be low in Chicago, the ceiling is enchanting, and the Bears will likely be an exciting team for years to come as they finally build an identity and can fight with the best. Chicago is in good hands with Caleb Williams, and he can break many of the Chicago records in just his first year.